Hey everyone, I had a subscriber tell me that he's got a Wood-Mizer ordered and was wondering if I would make a video about how to set it up. And there's a lot to it, so I thought that would probably be a good video to make for somebody curious about what it takes to set up a Wood-Mizer. Now the first thing to do when you're parking the saw is to get it as level as you can side to side by chalking the tires, blocking them up, whatever you got to do, get it as close to level as you can. The front to back level can be done with the supports fairly easily, but side to side just seems like it's a lot more difficult. So first thing, get it level as you can, and then start dropping the supports. Now the Wood-Mizer LT-35 has 6 of these legs or supports or outriggers or whatever you want to call them, 1 at each end and then 4 towards the middle of the saw deck. They just have a pin on a spring with pre-drilled holes, and basically you drop it down and get it to the closest hole. When I raise the tongue up and level the trailer, there should be pressure on that, but I may need to adjust it afterwards. To raise or lower these jacks, the saw came with this steel lever that you insert into the hole here and find one of the pre-drilled holes, and then you just use it to raise or lower the support. It's kind of the one thing I don't like about the saw, but I mean, it works, so that's what we do. I can come up a little more. That's about right. The next thing to do is to remove the fenders. Now, this is a step that I forget almost every single time I set up the saw, or I forget to put them back on and I leave them where I was sawing and I have to go back and get them. But very important, take the fenders off. There's just 2 little rubber bungee cords that hook onto some tabs behind the wheel. The hydraulics on the sawmill won't operate unless the saw head is at the tongue and it's making contact with this copper strip that supplies power to the electric motor that runs the hydraulic pump. So the next order of business is to get the saw head pulled back to the tongue. Now another step that I forget all the time is to release the safety chain that keeps the house from, or the saw head from moving if you were to get in an accident. And I forget to do this all the time as well. The gasoline engine doesn't have to be running to move the saw head. All we do, turn the key counterclockwise to the accessory position, and then we can raise up the saw head. And you want the saw head, the scale, to read 27 inches, and that way you know that you can clear the log loading arms. So I've got the saw head raised to 27 inches. Now it can clear the log loading arms. And now I like to go around and undo the sawdust chute, the debarker, and put tension on the blade. Now we can fold down this pin that is in place for traveling. With the saw head raised, you can easily access these back two legs and get them locked into place. Now I've gone ahead and set the front two legs. Now we can pull the saw head back so that we get contact with the copper strip, and we can operate the hydraulics to lower the log lifting legs. Dropping the legs is a two-step process. This lever here operates the legs, and first we do the opposite of what it looks like we should do according to how the lever works. This part right now is where I would be realizing that I forgot to take the fender off because the legs were hitting the fender. The next thing we need to do is to lower the log turner. When you lower the log turner, if you continue to hold the lever past this thing going all the way down, you'll see that the hydraulic dogs will start to lower. They're all on the same function as kind of a safety. It won't let you operate the log roller without at least the hydraulic dogs in the up position. Kind of a safety feature. Now lastly, we'll take the log clamp and we'll pull it all the way across so that when we load our log, it's where it wants to be able to grab the log and pinch it against the dogs. Now of course, before you start sawing, you should check the oil and the gas and your blade lube and blade tension, just to make sure everything's good to go. But that's it. There's a lot to it, and you'd probably be taught to do it a different way. I got kind of rushed through it, and so as long as I end up with a sawmill that looks like that, I'm feeling pretty good about it. One other thing, when I did do my training, the guy that taught me said, it doesn't matter if you move the saw 5 feet or 500 miles, always put the saw head locked in its travel position. I don't know how many times he told me that, but apparently it's pretty important. Tomorrow, I've got some big cherry logs that I'm hoping to get cutting on, and I've also got some pretty nice looking walnut. And then I've also got a yew tree down on the bottom of my property that I think I'm going to cut down and cut into lumber. So if you'd like to see that stuff, subscribe, and I'll try and keep these things coming. Thanks for watching.